little bit more corner speed than the other two.
That's what he said.
Was it?
What he said,
Literally, you could see it, especially when he was behind Pecco. It was a huge difference. His roll speed entries.
They've done with their setup this weekend.
Oh, that's close. And it is, think about this track, Silverstone, it's all long corners like this part of the track through flowing corners where you have to not ride it like a Moto 3 bike, but more like a Moto 2 bike than you would a MotoGP bike, where it's get the bike stopped, stand it up, use the horsepower. You have to carry corner speed through places like Copse, the famous Copse, and then look at the next section you go into, the Maggots-Beckett section. It's all corner speed through here.
They just look like
they're tippy-toeing around.
Absolutely being so cautious, as you would, of course.
What you've got to understand, and it's easy to forget this because we're now sat in a warm commentary box. It's cold outside, and these riders, we travel the world, but we normally we follow the sun around, don't we? So it's rare the riders are actually out on a MotoGP bike with that wind chill factor, as cold as it is. So they'll all be feeling tense, tight, nervous, and also they're aware that it looks like it's not going to rain again for the rest of the day. So this is sort of pointless. What are you going to gain? You certainly don't want to risk crashing.
Probably just scrubbing the edge off a set of wet tyres, parking it back in the pits, and saving it for the flag-to-flag later on in the day.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's what I'd be doing actually. A couple of laps, the bike seems to be working all right. Nurse the tyres around and come in.
Interesting, I thought Marco Bezzecchi yesterday, how that turn one couldn't disengage the ride height device. He said, didn't have the greatest of starts, but that many didn't have enough pace into turn one, which meant when he applied the brakes, it didn't disengage, and it was round out of Aintree. Actually,
it was down into Brooklyn,
wasn't it? Sorry, yeah.
Imagine it. So he's gone through all that section there, through the loop, through Village,
with the bike down,
with the bike completely buried at the back like a chopper.
And he'd done well on the straight, actually. That's probably where he made up some positions.
Well, imagine what that must have felt like.
Yeah.
Oh, on board with Marc Marquez, you can feel the tyre. So already, essentially, it's overheated in the middle. There's maybe not quite enough water. So the bike's sort of fishtailing in the straight line. Was that yellow flag? Shirless. Do you know, also in these conditions, if you crash, you are so annoyed because it is pointless. You're on your number one bike. Normally you'd be on your number one bike, just making sure everything's working. So then, if that slides down the road, I mean, it's only a 10-minute session. There's
also an hour less before the start of the race, because the race is 1 p.m. local time. Normally in Europe we race at 2 p.m, but to keep that across Europe, so here in the UK we are an hour behind Europe, of course. The race is at 1. You'll be used to seeing the racing at 1 p.m. at home if you're in the UK, and so that's why the race is an hour early. So just compressing the schedule basically gives your team a little less time if something were to go wrong to put your bike back together. This is a bit sketchy. Look at Marc Marquez weaving on top of the water. I feel like they've got ice skates on.
Oh, Pecco, is that Pecco going into the gravel?
Really wide, anyway.
I think it's going to be dry. Yeah, it is. I think it's going to be dry for the Moto 2 boys.
Yeah,
I mean, it takes a while to dry here. It does.
But the sun out, a big
sun and
breeze.
wind. You've definitely got a chance. Look, there might be the odd patch here and there, but I'm sure it'll be slicks. Staying out for what, an hour and a half? Is it 11:15?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, so
I think it'll be dry for them. Look, you can even see areas on that front straight that are starting to dry up, and by the time that comes around, I'm fairly confident.
So I'd forgotten as well. Obviously, Alex Marquez so impressive yesterday. He had that big crash as well.
Yeah.
In the morning, that big high side.
He was really annoyed with himself about that.
Was he?
Yeah.
Well,
then it was a silly mistake from him.
It was a slight brain fade. Just touched the white line on the inside. There'd been rain, been some damp patches. With slick tyres, you touch that white line, especially on the inside with full lean angle. There's only going to be one outcome.
Jack Miller, like Fabio Quartararo, went backwards. Still got his first sprint point on the Pramac Yamaha. But again, he, just like Quartararo had said on the Yamaha, when it was cooler temperatures, the bike just did not feel the same, just did not work in the same way. On board with Marco Bezzecchi, I think he's a bit of a dark horse today. I know he's starting 11th. If he can get a good start, that's going to be the key for him. If Bezzecchi can get away well, because his pace was good. He actually said yesterday there's a possibility he could run us off the front tyre. He said, I want to run the hard. The Aprilia works better with the hard tyre, and he'd like to do that. And he was super fast with it, wasn't he?
Real. The best he's looked all year.
Yeah.
He actually, certainly the second half of the race, he looked the best guy on track. Every time it showed him, he could hold a much tighter line, using meters less. The bike was turning really well, looked like the natural turning of the Aprilia. We know it's always gone well around here in the past. It was pole position here last year. Guy's moving a lot, Martin, with Mark.
Looks sketchy.
Gravel, gravel.
Picking it up
gravel.
anyway.
Oh. Yeah. This man's smiling. Yes, believe it or not, that is a smile.
Big quotes from KTM riders yesterday. I think the word from Pedro Costa was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, comments like, we need something now. Like now.
My ears around the paddock this morning are suggesting we might only see two KTMs on the grid next year in factory colours. That's
okay.
You know, well, that's what is a noise from Italy anyway. Whether that's the case or not, you know,
from Italy,
so early. As in, I've been speaking to Italian journalists.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
Who say that this was the moment for Marc Marquez down the hangar straight. Had to bail out.
He actually went down an extra gear at the end to try and get it stopped. Also, you're nervous. You take another gear out because you feel like it's pushing the front. You're overloading the front, so by back shifting another gear, it just helps take a little bit of pressure off the front.
Yeah, KTM's, I'm not sure about their chances here today.
Yep, I believe Pedro Acosta was, let's say, a little bit grumpy in his media.
A little bit, a lot.
Yeah. He's getting sort of running out of patience of, basically, I'm not here to ride round and finish 8th. Too much effort in, we won't work too hard to. Mark is all over the shop. What's he playing at? Off the track again? I feel like if you were on Mark's pit board, you'd just put box. Let's come in now, eh? If you've had a look at these conditions, it's not going to be like this on the later on today.
Pedro Acosta's birthday today, 21 years of age.
21. Tell you what, he seems more mature than that, doesn't he? You know, when you, no, as in, he'll sit and hold court and in his second or third language.
He's worldly.
Yeah.
You know.
He's also got he's got that cheek and that glint of a 21-year-old, but
I also understand that tempers between himself and Fermin Aldeguer have simmered.
Okay.
Somewhat.
Oh, I don't like that.
No. Apparently there's a bit of provincial rivalry, but it's the feud has dissipated somewhat.
Well, I think it's. Well, they made contact yesterday at about 150 miles an hour.
This was before that happened, that I've heard. Right. So maybe Raul Fernandez. I was down in there chatting to Davide Brivio this morning, and he said Frankie Morbidelli smacked it to the side, ripped all his wings off. That's why Raul went backwards.
Doesn't sound like Frankie.
So yeah, that explained a bit of Frankie's race, but also Raul had no wings on one side of the bike, and in the wind it made it almost impossible.
Yeah, you can imagine.
To ride.
That would be tough.
I was actually down there with Davide and his brother Robbie, who runs the Italtrans team.
That's right.
And obviously no Adrian Huertas this weekend. He was just explaining how he's broken, I think, the scapula. He said collarbone, but he pointed to the back, you know, like
your shoulder blade. I've done that. That's agony, Gav, I'll tell you.
In the test in Le Mans, that was.
And there's nothing they can do with that. That's one of them that you just
can't set it.
Exactly. I remember, yeah, taking the sleeping tablets and painkillers, sat bolt upright in bed for about a month, thinking,
well, I hope it is.
no, I don't want to break that again.
I hope it's the collarbone in that respect.
Here's a comment for you. This is, and we know obviously Pecco's in the doldrums, struggling with the feeling of the 2025 Ducati. He said, at the moment now, I'm that lost with the feeling from the front, I can't tell you the difference if I put a front soft slick in or a front hard slick.
I mean, that's an amazing
when
comment.
He said that, I'm like, wow. I feel like now that underlines, like that's, I mean, the difference in feeling is huge from those two tyres, but he says basically they feel the same because he's got that lack of feeling.
Marc Marquez, in a similar way, wasn't necessarily happy with the bike. He said we tried 4 or 5 different setups this weekend, nothing working. In that case, it's me. I need to change. Some people have taken that as a pointed dig at Pecco Bagnaia. I don't know. I think it's more Marc Marquez admitting to his own fallibilities this weekend. That's the way I see it.
I agree with you as well. I don't think he was having a swipe. He don't need to have a swipe at Bagnaia. I think that's
the 51 or whatever it is points difference between them. What is the gap?
I mean, that's an insult in itself, isn't it? He doesn't need to, but I genuinely don't think he does. We've seen Mark all through his career. First thing he does normally is point his finger at himself,
not the bike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So many times.
Now, how many times did we actually hear him slate the Honda?
Yeah, I'm now trying to think. He'd often say, "Oh yeah, absolutely. There were weaknesses from the bike, but there's some really strong points."
Good company man in that respect. Ralph Fernandez is the fastest rider in the session, so I wonder if he's got something, because as we said, the Aprilia working. Ayagura's flown back to Barcelona, by the way, has got a crack in the top of his tibia, just below the right knee. He was walking on it yesterday, but he's having an MRI in Barcelona on Monday, so hopefully, for eye's sake, it's not as bad as first fear, but it sounds great. Oh, what's going on there?
Well, someone's spun up, I'm assuming. Either that or someone's just doing a rolling burnout for the fans.
Jack Miller.
There's a lot of smoke. Or is it someone just having a barbecue at the side of the track? Just have a bacon sandwich now.
I've already had 2 this morning.
Exactly, you know I always have 3.
It's what Superman needs, isn't it, to fuel his day?
It's race day.
I wish you'd stop wearing the cape, though, in the commentary box. That